As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Good morning, all. Guess what? We are coming bedside today. I have literally been working nonstop for, I think, at least over the last 2 days, I want to say about 25 hours. I have put in to reviewing footage and everything else. And it's a lot. You know, I can't express that enough. It's a lot. I got up this morning and I'm like, oh, I need to go live. And I didn't feel like going and setting up the office. So I ended up setting up the bedroom. So good morning, all. Happy Saturday. We're coming bedside with our cup of Joe. Let's see who is all in the chat. I keep grabbing for my, I got both the computers in here. Like I literally went in there and set it up. I didn't feel like sitting in that chair. I decided to relax. And I think, and I hope each and every one of you guys are also doing the same thing. And if you noticed, I didn't even get my face on. This is it. This is the Bullhorn Betty Unmasked show. Right? Okay, let's see what we got. East Tennessee girl was in here bright and early. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Bullhorn Betty is present. Lupus Mom, nice to see you. Patricia Sell, nice to see you, dear. She is our drawer. Drawer. She's the one that sends me all those beautiful drawings. And most recently, the one of Don Wells sitting in prison, where he belongs. Rhonda, good morning. TJ, nice to see you. Karen, love it, love it. FBI from the UK, love it. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. C12, yes, I finally made it live. I know you guys were missing me. I was missing you too. Excuse me, but I have to tell you. It's so much stuff. It's like once you get into it, like I was trying to come live yesterday. And of course, everything I was reviewing was literally hour shows or hours this. And then, of course, trying to cut and put stuff together to get some kind of content out. And it's like, well, by the time I did this, you know, I need to get it out. I didn't have time to go live. I was in the office all day yesterday. Lots of stuff going on, you know, a lot of stuff that I am reviewing and didn't catch on to. And I think one of those videos was released yesterday. I think we all kind of saw it. You know, it's got a lot of views on it. So I know many of you guys did watch it, did see it. And, you know, it's stuff that we are not picking up on. And this is all stuff that was broadcasted to us. It was right there in living color, and we glossed over it because we didn't know what was going on at that time. You know what I'm saying? We just did not know. So yeah, nice to be back, guys. Nice to be back. But don't think because I wasn't here, I was not working, because I have been, you have no idea. I think I shut this computer down last night. I want to say at like 9 or 9:30. I had been on it since 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was just an awful lot. Like I was supposed to call Ronnie Girl back. And by the time I finally got off this computer and got done with the research, which I wasn't, I could have stayed up for another 4 or 5 hours. And I was so tired. I literally rolled over and was out like that, and woke up this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, like almost 5 o'clock in the morning on the dot, and ready to rock and roll. So I just didn't feel like being in the office. I thought, you know, today's Saturday. I've got to leave here about 12:30. It's my cousin's wedding reception today. So I'm not going to be around. You know, I've got to figure it out today. So today's, as far as research, is kind of in the tank, because by the time I start researching, I don't want to stop. And if I've got to stop at noon, then there's no point in me even starting. I thought it was starting to rain. It might be raining outside. I don't know. I heard that weather here is going to be getting bad. So nice to see you, Jackie Blue. Let's see who else. Sonia, nice to see you, hun. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Nice to see you. And I did get your emails. I just can't even remember what they say. I've got to go back and go through my emails again and start responding to people. But Jackie, I've been getting your emails. I haven't had a chance to put those into context to bring live, but I need to get back into doing that because we like to cover other cases. Cindy, nice to see you. Where else are we? Jessica, good morning. Patricia, good morning. Jovi girl, nice to see you. Sasha, nice to see you. Ruby, Jean, and Vicky, nice to see you. Oh, good. We love new subscribers, Vicky. I'm happy that you're here. Kaya's opinions. What did she say? Can you tell me if Andy and Jody are... No, they're not. Okay, yeah, I was wondering what that was. And Nancy B, nice to see you. Nice to see you guys. So we're filling in. And just like I said, just a different view, right? I used to come live from this room quite often because I was too lazy to get out of bed and go over to my office, right? So now it's just because I'm so exhausted. I don't feel like sitting in that chair. A chair, sitting there for an hour or two is not good on the butt. I'll be honest with you. So this is a much more comfortable position, much more comfortable. Good morning, Luna. Than anything else. So we are coming here. You guys usually see my hair done, my face done, and I'm in my office. Today, you see me with my teeth brushed, my cup of coffee, no makeup, and still in bed in my PJs. This is where I want to be today. But like I said, I've got to get up and I've got to go to get, dolled up. And that's probably why I didn't want to do it. I hate doing my makeup too early, especially when I have an afternoon to an evening event, because it's hard, because then you almost have to get into the shower again just to wash your face so you can redo your hair and face. Now all I got to do is curl the hair and put on a fresh face and walk out the door. I'll be good. So I hope everybody is sitting at home in their PJs with their cup of coffee this morning at 7:00 Eastern Standard Time. Yes, thank you, Karen. Absolutely. You go, girl. You guys go too. So, I've been doing a lot of research. I know a lot of the stuff is heartbreaking. Yesterday, I got to tell you, I was whipped. I was a little, I don't know. I was sad. I was really sad because there was a lot of stuff and you guys saw it. We're going to play it here for everybody that's watching, so you guys don't have to worry about the commercials and things like that. We've got several other things. Now, I just want to clarify, I went on a little rampage over the whole Jody Sue email that I had received. I thought it was just stupid. I really did. I did just think it was stupid. And I think it didn't paint Jody Sue in a positive light. It actually painted her in the negative light of how people that support her talk to other people. Like, I've never said she did anything wrong other than she fabricated some portions of her story. And again, I would have never touched her because I didn't think she was a significant person in the Wells case or in the investigation. And so I just never discussed her, but there's only so many times I'm going to listen to you say Bullhorn Betty did this and Bullhorn Betty did that. First of all, you don't know me. I haven't even talked to you about the case, but hey, you want to bring me to your attention? Fine. I will look into you. I will see what you have to say. Let's see, FBI. Hold on just a second. Sometimes you guys know I don't read, guys, just to let you know, I don't read my chats too well when I'm chatting, but I will try to get back. I saw them still together on someone's post. That's why I was asking somebody, not right. Yeah, there's a tag team. I have to be honest with you. There is a little bit of a tag team between her and Andy. I think that they are still maybe not together officially, but I still think they party together or do those types of things together. And I think They were comfortable with that before. That's why they got together. They're comfortable with that now. They've got children. They're always going to be in each other's lives. If I'm not mistaken, those are his kids, but they're always going to be in each other's lives. And just kind of like Andrew Hiltz and Allison Harris, which is Hunter's mom and dad. They still chat. I mean, I have to be honest with you. When I was married to my husband, which is now my ex-husband, yay. When I had made Thanksgiving dinner, we had his daughter's mom and her boyfriend over here. When we went to the beach and we did things with the grandkids, we had them over here. We had a good relationship. It's not one of those things where just because you're broke up or whatever, you got to be nasty to each other. And quite frankly, my ex was just here. I want to say 4 or 5 days ago. He stopped by. He got himself into a little bit of a pickle and needed help. So of course, naturally, I helped him. And that's how I believe people should act. That's how I believe people should be, especially when you're split up. It's done. It's over. There's no, if you're truly done, you're truly done. There's no emotional stuff there. You don't hate each other. You want you guys to do stuff. But yeah, I get it. When you start seeing people, chummy and stuff, like me and my ex are not chummy. We had a celebration after our divorce. That was it. That was, I mean, literally, we had a couple drinks and a slice of pizza and laughed about old times. He wanted to go and go out, and I was like, I was thinking about it. And I'm like, nah, this is probably not a good idea. Too much alcohol might, I like the 2 drinks and I'm done. No point in pushing the envelope. So, long story short, if he was a podcaster or a YouTuber and I was, you'd see us in each other's chats. I mean, it's not a big deal. I don't really see it as that way. Let me turn this down just a tad. See what's going on here. See what's going on. What was it? What was it? It was a Pinterest post. Wedding. And I don't want to talk about a freaking wedding forever. Like it was crazy. I was going through my divorce and I had to go to my one cousin's wedding. And, now my divorce is final. And now I'm going to my other cousin's. It's like, I don't want to, that's it. Done. Done. This day and age, you don't need to be married to have a relationship or have a life. I know it's the religious thing to do and things like that. But, it would be okay if people actually stayed together. But this day and age, I think the divorce rate in the United States right now is the highest it's ever been. It's become more about money than it has been. To be about love, in my opinion. Some people get it, some people don't. I didn't get it the first time. Maybe the second time will be a charm. Who knows? Right now, I'm enjoying being home in my bed by myself with this whole side of the bed filled up with electronics, and not the fun kind. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, Lord. Harley's World. Nice to see you, babe. Nice to see you. So, where is your coffee mug? Right there. It's just that usually my desk and everything's on this side, but this is the side of the bed that's empty. And so my nightstand's over there. So I pick it up. And when I pick it up this way. So you only see the back of the mug, but it's the mug. It's the mug. It's good morning. Good morning, Cindy. It's nice to see you. It's funny. I used to go to three or four. Yeah. Yeah. It's just not the same anymore, And not only that, but the marriage, people back in the day knew how to stay married. They knew that it was a give and take. They knew it was it was work. I mean, sorry, a successful marriage is not easy. It takes time. It's work. When you have a toxic, dysfunctional marriage, it's even worse, right? So it's just time to move on. Do I hate him? Of course not. You got to realize people do the best a lot of people have a lot of childhood trauma. That's what destroyed my family, my family when I was younger. My father and my mother, I believe both. Jackie Gaming's nice to see you. I believe both had a lot of childhood trauma that they never quite got over. And it just made for a toxic, unhealthy um, childhood with violence and just uncool things that happened. And was it to the tune of what the Wells put their kids through? Not even close. Not even close. Like my childhood, even though I suffered severely from childhood trauma, was nothing in comparison to the Wells at all. Absolutely nothing in comparison. It pales. Like it looks like the molehill next to the mountain, and it messed with my head for, you know, 20, what is it? Almost 30 years. But there was other things that went along with it because that was only the beginning. And then of course other things happened in life and just made it 10 times worse. So, but I'm enjoying finding myself. I'm enjoying, standing on my own. I'm enjoying, you know, figuring out life, I mean, I've been through hell and back. And then when I thought I, got out of all that nonsense, I ended up getting into a very toxic and dysfunctional marriage. And now I'm just trying to take it easy and find out what I truly want in life. Find out, what kind of person would make me happy without all the dysfunction. So, anyways, enough about me, y'all. Enough about me. Let's see what we got here. I'm on my third. Well, they say third time's a charm, Miss Robin. They say third time's a charm. And not only that, but we love your hubby. You love your hubby. I got to be honest with you. I met Robin online, and we went and went to a spooky little thing together, and I got to meet her and her husband. I had a fabulous time. I'm not going to obviously say your husband's name because you do deserve some kind of privacy, but I love him. I love him, and he likes to send me goofy videos. Well, I should say Robin likes to videotape him doing goofy stuff and send it to me. Let me say it like that. Yeah, he's awesome. He is awesome. He is awesome. So, oops, wrong one. See how that happens. So I got a call, and then actually that brings me to my next point, me jumping down and hitting the wrong comment. So somebody had reached out to me and said, I can't believe I was timed out for, and I'm not trying to, mock how they would speak because you can't hear them. They just wrote me. They was like, I've been timed out for just saying 2 cuss words. What's up with that, Betty? And I'm like, oh, and what do you say? It's like, I'm sorry, but in all reality, the chat was like going crazy, and I'm sure that you were accidentally timed out. It might have been the person above you because that's what happens. It does that to me all the time. I go to click something and it moves up because another comment's coming in. So if you guys have ever been blocked or accidentally timed out, I want to give you my sincerest apology about that. I'm sure it was by error if you did nothing wrong. And if you are blocked from this channel and you did nothing wrong to be blocked from this channel, make sure you reach out and let me know that so I can unblock you. Because like I said, when things get hairy, we know that I attract some of the crazy, some of the most mentally unstable people on YouTube to this channel because they hate me so much. They literally dream about me at night. And they dream about me poking a fork in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people are twisted. They literally they have lost all common sense. They have lost, they've literally, the brain has just popped out of their head, and they just can't function without bullying Bullhorn Betty. So we get some crazies up in here. And sometimes when this chat is going just completely crazy, some people unintentionally get are part of that. Unfortunately, they are just kind of, what do they call it? Like they're not. You're not the target. You just happen to post when somebody was getting deleted or getting timed out. So just remember that it wasn't you. It was just probably the chat and how the chat works. All right, let's see what you got going on here. It says there's a kidnapping survivor, Abby Hernandez. Do you remember this? No, I don't remember it. I didn't even see you. Patricia, what are you doing up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, love. I got your message. Good morning, Brenda. Good morning, Brenda. So, Lavelle Harris, why are they trying to do the. I don't know if that. I don't know. But good morning, all. Anyways, so through all this other stuff going on, I've been studying this Wells case. I've been watching a few other creators kind of going back to the drawing board and looking into this case. Jonathan Lee Riches, aka JLR, has really been digging his feet into it, and he's been inspiring me to work harder, for better content and finding out what truly happened. Him and I disagree. I've been watching his videos, and him and I disagree on a few things. Believe it or not, we disagree. It makes for great debate. I would like to debate him. Who knows? Maybe he'll be up here to debate me one of these days. I don't know. But everybody knows I love Jonathan Lee Riches to death. He's a great friend. He's a great ally. We do work together on occasions. We started off, at the Gabby Petito. We've done several cases together collaboratively with Olivia, the Chronicles of Olivia. We've also done a lot of work apart and, trying to find our own voices here on YouTube. We thought that was best. We are planning on collaborating again, in the future. Don't know when. It's just when the next case comes up that we can get out to and really study. We do a great job as a team. Olivia and I are still working on trying to get out to Michigan, but we do have a surprise, and that's going to be coming up next month. We do have a surprise, but I'm not willing to share it just yet. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be what some of you have been screaming at me to do, and it will be coming up. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be in 30 days or less. How about that? Maybe 37 days or less. How about that? There we go. And nice to see you, Bethy Cakes. Oh, I love that. He is, Kathy. He's getting very good. He's getting really good. Like, he's all about doing the videos. He likes his videos, but I've noticed that he's been, jumping on lives. I needed to probably, it's kind of funny because now that he's going live, I remember my first few times going live where I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do this, or bring videos up where he's taking his phone and turning it around and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to go over there and give him, YouTube live streaming 101. I'm not an expert yet. You'd think I would be. I'm not an expert yet. Guys, I want to tell you, we have surpassed 1 million views on this channel. I want you guys to give you guys all a round of applause. Without you, this channel would not be as successful as it is. And I have to tell you, surpassing the 1 million mark was amazing. Many of you guys know, even though the about on this says this channel has been alive since May 2021, that was when it was my political activist channel. It only had 100 people on it. And once we moved from the political activism into, and I converted it. I didn't want to set up a new account. I should have, if I would have done this probably, hindsight's 2020. We didn't know how successful it was. I wanted to reinvent, since I already had 100 people on that channel. I wanted to reinvent it to Bullhorn Betty just to have that extra 100 to give me a push start off. What I should have done is probably built up my Gmail, the new Gmail, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, and built a whole new platform from the ground up. It would have shown that this came live on November, which was, I believe, 5 months later, November 21, 2021. That was when, I think it was November 19th was when the Bullhorn Betty logo was created. November 19th, 2021 was when the Bullhorn Betty logo was created. And this channel was branded the Bullhorn Betty channel. And so we have had 1 million views since November. 1 million views since November. That is amazing. That is amazing. And now we understand why people beat up on Bullhorn Betty. I don't think it's because they hate me or think I'm this horrible, despicable person because, a DUI 20 years ago, right? I think it is because they are so angry that how dare somebody like me this much that we can grow a channel to over 8,000 in less than 6 months. I think that's really what it is because some of these people have been on here for 5 years and can barely scratch 10,000 viewers. And so it's very sweet. I appreciate, you guys have no idea. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart that you guys have watched and participated in this, channel and wanting to learn about these cases. And, we started off with the Gabby Petito case. We were out there. I was one of the original protesters in front of their house. We did get a lot of heat for doing that. From some people that felt that the Laundrie parents were innocent. We're finding out now they weren't as innocent as they portrayed. Now it sounds to me like here recently they have admitted to the claims of the Schmidt and Petito family, but basically stating that it was within their constitutional rights to remain silent. But they never denied any portion of the allegations contained in the complaint from the Petitos. And so, that was a little vindicating because people said they were innocent, they didn't do anything wrong, they didn't know anything. And here we find out not only did they know everything, they actually tried to conspire with their son to help him flee. And then we go over to the Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner case. We went out there. We had our boots on the ground out there. We worked out there for many hours. It was hard work. It was up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't stop until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And we literally talked to anybody and everybody that was willing to talk to us. We talked to people that were close and that worked with Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner. We talked to damn near, 5 or 6 McDonald's employees. We quickly came up with a person of interest from the McDonald's employees, which was Adam Pinkeswicks, if I'm saying his name properly. And come to find out, he has been named the suspect in the Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner case 9 months later. And did we have other names on our list? Of course we did. We went up there with 5 names. We left with 30 names. But there was a few names that rose to the top of the list. But this Adam guy rose to the top of the list so much so that we actually went to see Lieutenant Kim Neal with the Grand County Sheriff to let him know of this guy and let him know the details related to this guy. Because when we talked to the McDonald's employees, they were only questioned one time. They filled out a card for Crystal. They filled out a card for this Adam character. And then they never heard from law enforcement, FBI, or any other agency again. And so from Polish, yeah, I know. I'll never say some names right. Pronunciation for Pincus, I have to correct. I can't. Even the McDonald's employee called him Adam Pincus. Like they couldn't even pronounce his name properly. So, yeah. And then, of course, we went to Kathleen Moore and Collin Knapp. Many of you guys don't know, Jonathan and I were working that case because Olivia was working. She couldn't get off to help us with that case. And so Jonathan and I were out there. We were in the woods searching. We were handing out flyers. We were, standing out in front of Collin's house. We were asking him, what happened to Kathleen Moore. You could tell he was, facial expressions tell a lot. And when you're standing eye to eye with a killer, you get a vibe. First and foremost, believe me, I don't know what it is about the body or its instincts, but I'm telling you, When you know, you know. And he had all the wrong vibes, all the wrong body language. He's trying to convince us that he had nothing to do with it. And so we got an aerial map. We identified, and actually I keep saying we, but in all fairness, it was Jonathan Lee Riches, aka JLR, that did the legwork on locating the area behind his house. But we went searching there. We also had one of the neighbors give us a tour of all the areas, the wooded areas in and around Collin Knapp's home, where he could potentially have put her, because in reality, people just don't drive around with people, in their vehicles. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, people just don't drive around with victims of their, crimes in the back seat of the car, or in the, you never know what's happened. They try to, it's kind of like, it's the most opportune place that they can stick you is where they stick you. And it was crazy, because we were in the area. We actually videotaped it. I think Jonathan may have went YouTube, or not YouTube live, Twitter live, and said, this is the area that I would suggest anybody and everybody to search right here. This is where she's going to be. And it was right, literally, we could see his house, everything like that. We talked to law enforcement before we went back there. Law enforcement told us that the area had been thoroughly searched. That's what law enforcement told me. The immediate area was thoroughly searched. We have him on video telling us that. We're like, well, then you guys don't mind if we just go back there and stuff like that. He's like, basically, knock yourself out, right? Knock yourself out. The place has been thoroughly searched. Knock yourself out. Okay, so we go back there. We still go online and say, this is where she would be. This is where she'll be, even in light of what law enforcement had told us. The problem is there was swampy area back there. And many of you guys know, early on when we built this channel, people donated off the wish list, and one of those items was wading gear. I did not have that wading gear at that time. Had I had that wading gear, that case would have been closed, because we would have gotten back to where we needed to go back to. And it was crazy, because we were getting ready to head up for our first trip to Summer Wells. And we had met this mother and daughter. They tried to say they were Kathleen Moore's family. And we weren't going to question them. We didn't know if it was a, biracial type of, if Kathleen Moore was half white or whatever, but it was a white mom and a white sister that they said was her mom and sister. So we spent the day with them. And of course, Kathleen's family came out, and they were like, I can't believe we're calling her her mother. And I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, she told us she was her mother. Who would do that? Who would come to people searching and have a stack of flyers for their daughter and say, this is my daughter, she's missing, can you help? If she wasn't your daughter. I mean, people apparently do that. I was none the wiser. So we thought it was the mother and the sister. Apparently it was just very close friends of Kathleen Moore's, not her mom, not her sister. But long story short, they went into Collin Knapp's home, spoke to him, and came out and basically said that his life's been turned upside down. Law enforcement even broke the back gate. And I always talk about the truth and the lies. The truth and the lies. And I think that was his way of explaining how his back gate got broken. But his back gate got broken by him as he moved Kathleen out of his house and 2 houses down in the exact location we stated on Twitter they needed to look. So now we got Gabby Petito, we've got Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner, we got Collin Knapp and Kathleen Moore, and I feel sad because, we went and searched for Ruth Cecala. We never found her. She's a 75-year-old woman that disappeared December 15th, 2021. We went out and looked at, hey, Pebbles, hope everything's good. Good morning, Kelly. And then we went out and looked for Paola Miranda Rosa, and we never found her. And I don't think anybody's ever found her. And it's starting to look more and more like potentially the Gators got her. I mean, we were out there, and there was one kayak person that said there was a 14-foot gator lying on the bank. Just a few, yeah, no, we never found her, and we've never heard from her family that she's ever been found. And Caribbean Kool-Aid was out there looking for us. Can you believe that Caribbean Kool-Aid went under heat for working with us to do the right thing and help find a 75-year-old lady out in the woods? And people on YouTube tried to destroy her over that. Good morning, Anissa. They tried to destroy her over that. A young woman just trying to make a difference in the world, just like I try to do, just like Jonathan tries to do, just like many of you guys support, Olivia. When we go out to these cases, we go out there to really dig in and to find legitimate answers. So, yeah, Caribbean Kool-Aid, she used to come on this channel quite a bit. She was almost ostracized for associating with Jonathan Lee Riches and me out there looking for a 75-year-old woman. Who in the world would criticize? It doesn't matter whether she was our friend, whether she hated us. It doesn't matter. We came together to search for a 75-year-old woman when nobody else would. And people try to destroy her over it. Yeah, it's actually not a bad idea, but we did do a lot of work on this case, but it wouldn't just be me and JLR. Chronicles of Olivia. When we collaborate, we collaborate. It's the Three Musketeers. Gabby Petito. That's where we all found each other, and I got to tell you, it's kind of crazy because the three of us are just in sync. I don't know how to explain it. But when we're out together, we don't have to ask each other to do this or do that, or, what we need to be. We all just know. We click like that when we're out there. It's really amazing how it all works, but it does, because we all are so passionate about these cases. We're all passionate about trying to seek the truth, and we're all passionate about doing the work necessary to formulate our opinions based on that information. So, do people like the fact that I'm brazen out? I'll just tell you what I think. I'll say why I think it. I really don't care. Small-minded people need to be on small-minded channel, like toaster strudels. So it's just one of those things. Let's see what we got going on here. So I wanted to show you guys a few things. I don't know if I got them up yet or not. I don't know where it is. I've been having some problems trying to find some of my work, but that's okay. So we'll go over here. I think it was Ellie. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this if I can. Let me bring this up. You guys are gonna have to work with me here. Okay. Press conference. Where is it? I think this is it. Let's see if this is it. It might be it. I might have it completely wrong. I can't recall. I think this is it. There it is.
Good afternoon, YouTube. Andrea, aka Bullhorn Betty here. As many of you guys know, we are going back into the case. We are researching all of the press conferences. We are looking into all the details related to this case because, law enforcement has slowed down their search efforts in the Summer Wells case because they've done everything they can do. So at this time, it is appropriate to go back and try to put the pieces of the puzzle together. I'm noticing, going back over this stuff, which I've watched many times, that there's fine information, fine little details that we missed. And this segment is no different. Did law enforcement know that Summer would not be coming back home alive? Did they know this 9 days after her disappearance? Watch this clip.
As mentioned before, as Sheriff Fielder mentioned, please continue to search your personal property. Sullivan County, Hawkins County, mainly the Beach Creek community, and even if you branch a little bit further, please search. And I've been telling these searchers here the last several days, when you're looking for this property, you're not looking for adult laying there. You're not looking for adult hiding in the building. We're looking for a 5-year-old girl that weighed approximately 40 pounds. Somebody that size could wad up, could hide in an area.
And I want you guys to notice, I'm stopping it here because I want you guys to notice, he's talking, he throws in like hiding. Like if you listen to what he's talking about, even an adult, you're not looking for an adult lying on the ground. And then he's like, or hiding, he's got to correct himself because he doesn't want to let people know what they're truly looking for. Because at this stage of the game, it's 9 days in, but you're hearing these hesitations where they're giving you these signals that they don't believe they're looking for somebody, that's living, that, lying on the ground, he says. So I want you to pay attention to his hesitation because he's going to do it again when he's talking about Summer.
Area that a legal size piece of...
Hold on, sorry.
Or a folded up hide in an area that a legal size piece of paper or a folded up laptop could go.
What are your thoughts? Did you hear the gentleman say that this is a 5-year-old child that can be folded up into a laptop size area? That doesn't sound to me like somebody they think they're going to be bringing back safely.
Actually, it sounds to me like they're telling people to look in boxes, look in suitcases that might be lying around, look into little, bags that are the size of legal size paper or computer size. That's what he's signaling here. We didn't hear it at the time. We didn't hear any of this. I've watched this press conference, I want to say a dozen, 20 times. Aw, Nisa. I want to do that. My newest member. I love you, girl. I love Anissa. That's my girl. I love all my mods. I've got to be honest. I love all my mods. I have a great group of mods. I'm not looking to add any new mods to my panel. We have a great team here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. And yes, Amy, and Totes. So that's what I'm trying to say. And, this, we didn't hear it at the time. Like I said, I've listened to this press conference, I don't know how many times. I never heard it. So let's just go back. Let me go hide this real quick. Let's just go back and listen to this again. Let's listen to what he has to say. Let's listen to it all and I won't interrupt.
Sullivan County, Hawkins County, mainly the Beach Creek community, and even if you branch a little bit further, please search. And I've been telling these searchers here the last several days, when you're looking for this property, you're not looking for an adult laying there. You're not looking for an adult hiding in the building. We're looking for a 5-year-old girl that weighed approximately 40 pounds. Somebody that size could wad up, could hide in an area that a legal size piece of paper or a folded up laptop could go.
What are your thoughts? Did you hear the gentleman say that this is a 5-year-old child that can be folded up into a laptop size area? That doesn't sound to me like somebody they think they're going to be bringing back safely. If you listen to this...
I didn't pause it. It's hiccuping.
You're going to hear them further talk about scaling back the efforts, doesn't sound like they anticipated her coming home safe.
Search efforts will continue on a more specialized team basis throughout the rest of the week. Just because you may not see us in such a large presence, once again, rest assured, we are still out here searching for Summer Wells.
If many of you guys know, I've discussed this. I've discussed, FBI protocol and at what time do they switch gears and start looking at the case as a homicide investigation as opposed to a missing person investigation. I said usually within 2 weeks.
Now, there's a nuance to that. Now, if they've had credible tips that the person's alive, we're talking about somebody that has never been seen again and never been heard of again. It's within 2 weeks, a few days to 2 weeks, and then it moves from a missing person over to a homicide investigation. I wanted to make sure that was clarified.
This is 9 days. I want you to listen to this next clip of Leslie Earhart discussing some details about the case.
One of you asked us in a previous briefing the standard amount of time it takes for a case like this to be resolved. While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened within a few days. If we develop information that will lead to locating Summer, we will share that with you first and foremost.
Leslie, at this point in the search and investigation, do you believe Summer Wells is still alive?
We hope so, but honestly, we just don't know.
Did you hear that hesitation in her voice? She paused a great deal, almost as if she didn't know. She had to collect her thoughts to answer that in the capacity of the TBI spokesperson. I guarantee she was ready to say, no, we do not.
Does it sound to you like this is a recovery effort or to find a missing child? It is with sad news today that I believe all of our optimism, all of our hopes for baby Summer Wells are being realized. And if we would have paid close attention 9 days after she went missing, we may have heard it ourselves. But because we were so hopeful and because we were so optimistic, I believe that our ears shut off when it came to knowing whether Summer Wells would make it back safely or not. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great day.
So, that was the video that I stuck together for that particular segment. That was a lot of work. A lot of people don't realize, I have reviewed so much footage, so much press conferences, and, it was listening to this over and over again. And it's like, they're using past tense. Their body language is off. It took some really, looking at this video. This video was, I think, 10 minutes long, and I played it and played it and played it and played it. And I just knew there was something there, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I realized what they were truly saying here. And that's when I created the video and got it out. There is so much, so many different interviews with Don Wells as well as Candace Wells. I mean, it's taking me forever to get in there, even though we did go ahead and pull together the contradictions that were made by the Wells. We're piecing them together, but there's so much notable discrepancies from one. They keep saying, we've said the same story over and over again. No, you haven't. Because yes, you keep saying the abduction theory, and you keep saying the day and how the day went through, but the details don't coincide with other statements made, and that makes them false statements, inaccurate statements. And so we have to look at that as information that they have been providing the public. They say that they know this. Listen, there's four scenarios that could have happened in the disappearance of Summer Wells. One is that she wandered off. She wandered off, even though she's never wandered off in the woods before. She's doing something that she's never done ever previously in 5.5 years, and just wanders off in the woods with no shoes in that rough terrain. I'm not buying it. She would have stepped on a rock. She would have stepped on a stick. She would have been hurt. She would have stopped dead in her tracks right then and there. She had no shoes on. So the idea, this theory that she just walked off, doesn't seem like it holds water. You've got the theory that, there was foul play. And you've got two different abduction theories. One, that it was a stranger danger, and one that was targeted. Either way, either of those two, whether somebody targeted her or not, and it was just somebody that pulled up and had an opportunity. I mean, I can't see the opportunistic. Let's talk about the first one, the stranger. She's on the top of a mountain. Nobody just driving by. People, when they are doing this type of crime, look for opportunity. There is no opportunity in the woods on top of a mountain where you can't get to it without having rock climbing gear on. So there is the possibility that, okay, so somebody saw her and started following them, started watching their every move, and still the degree of difficulty, especially having so many people at home at the time, including one person that was walking outside of a camper, mom, 21 dogs. It makes it next to impossible for even a targeted scenario. So we eliminate, and not just us, law enforcement, right? They didn't say that, this kind of abduction theory is different from this kind. No, they just said there's no evidence. There's none. At this stage in the game, a year later, if they truly thought somebody was up there other than the people that were supposed to be there, they would have come clean by now. Law enforcement would have let us know, because that means somebody dangerous is on the road, targeting children. And that's not what we're getting. It's not what we're getting. Good morning, people that came in here. I haven't seen you guys. I'm in chatting here, and I have not been paying attention. Tom, good morning. Kathy, Jordan, good morning. Savannah, good morning. Tanya, good morning. If I missed you, Pam, Kitty Cat. I am Team Summer. Nice to see you. Good morning, all. Good morning. So we've eliminated this abduction theory, the wandering off theory, no shoes, mountainous terrain, all this other stuff does not make sense. It literally leaves one item, one possibility: foul play, in my opinion. Now, when you start exploring the foul play option, what do you look at first? I look at statistics. Who could possibly and potentially want harm or an accident? Foul play does not necessarily mean it has to be intentional. It could be unintentional. It could be an unintentional accident that was covered up. It's still foul play. Her disappearance as is related to foul play. So now you start looking at the statistics associated with the foul play scenario. And when you start looking at statistics, you start learning the statistics are very high. And this is just for adults. We're not even talking about children, just adults. The last person that saw you, the last person you were with, typically knows a lot more than they say. The statistics are so high. I don't want to repeat numbers because I don't know them off the top of my head, but it's disgustingly high that, people that disappear or are injured or succumb to injuries and things of that nature, murder-wise, those are committed by people that you know. And then you start looking at the children aspect. And children are more likely to be injured and hurt by their parents than a stranger. Those are red flags. Those are statistics. Those are factual statistics, the law of large numbers that have been created by mathematicians and statisticians. I think they're called. I don't know. They use statistics. This is factual information. Now, you go out there with an open mind saying, okay, we have these 4 possibilities on the table. How do we either prove or disprove these 4 things? Who do we need to talk to either prove or disprove these things? Right? What statements can we look at right now that have been made? Let's look at that.
So as we're watching Dr. Phil and getting an insight on Summer Wells, we're paying close attention to every piece of words that are coming out of their mouth. We're paying attention to their body language. We're paying attention to every little detail. We're going back. We're fast forwarding forward. We're rewinding back. And so go ahead and shoot that. So Don Wells on here says the first thing he thought of when he realized his daughter was missing is that she was abducted. That was his very first thought. My question is with that, all that greenery, all that trees, all that whole vast land, your first inclination would be that she was abducted, not that she was lost. Not that she went out and played and fell asleep somewhere, in a tree, something. Your first thought was she was abducted. And he says that multiple times, that's his first thought, is that she was abducted. My question is that would have been my first thought, first and foremost. Secondly, why would that have been his first thought? Was he threatened by somebody that he owed maybe money to, that if he didn't pony up, something would happen to his family? If he didn't owe any money, why would that be his first thought? The wife, Candace, has failed and actually got up out of the interrogation with the human lie detectors. The 2 gentlemen that were there, reading body language and everything else like that, which was a little suspicious because, you're here to try to find answers for your daughter. And especially if you think she was abducted, your first thing would be, selflessness. You're not worried about yourself. You throw everything on the table to save your child. And somebody asks the tough question and you break down and get up and don't want to talk about it and take your microphone off. This is not conduct of people that had nothing to do or don't know anything. Secondly, it was apparent that Don Wells may have been at work during the time. So why is the wife half, Candace, so upset about stuff? To me, just this little bit I've previewed thus far, I believe she knows a hell of a lot more than she's saying she knows. I think Don now knows that she may have been involved, and that's why he's having some body language, eye blinking pattern issues. But if he was not there at the time she disappeared, I think the mom knows exactly what happened to Summer Wells.
So again, we went over some of those theories. I questioned them up front. But just because I questioned them up front doesn't mean I didn't look at them. Doesn't mean our team didn't go out there and look at the 4 scenarios and try to prove and disprove. Because and many of you guys know, you guys watch, I mean, even Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner, we knew that one of these 5 people, when we went out there, could have been responsible for their disappearance or their deaths. And when we got out there and started questioning people, names that we never heard of came to the list, one being Adam. And so our whole mindset changed, right? So just because we have a theory when we go out there doesn't necessarily mean that once we're done looking at everything, that remains our same theory. Things change. Information becomes available to you, and you now have to go down a different direction. The problem here is the theory that the Wells were bringing up was so preposterous once you got out there that it was eliminated very quickly. I mean, you got to think, we stood out there for hours. Unbeknownst to, remember Benny Keys was occupying Candace up there. We heard them laughing. They were having a good time doing whatever they were doing inside that house. So we were able to be across the street at the cemetery, previewing the property, looking at videos, calling people on the phone and talking to them, other creators, about their theories and what happened. And we're analyzing this. Now, mind you, it's freezing cold out. The leaves have fallen off the trees. It gives us a better preview of those trails that they were talking about. But now we can not only see the trails, we can see all the obstacles in the way of those trails. While, yes, dogs that are agile and that can move and smaller to the ground can go into those areas, it doesn't mean a grown person can. Even a child by themselves might be able to maneuver those areas better than an adult with a child in tow. So those things, and we looked at it. We looked at those things. But it didn't hold water. And then when we looked at the last 2 things, going out there, now we have to look at that scenario. Okay, if she walked off, what would we expect when she walks off? Especially with no shoes. But let's put shoes on the child. Let's make sure that they're properly dressed to be in a cold environment, or actually it was warm environment that day. But put shoes on the child and give them a chance to wander off this property. Now, we have to start looking at the resources. So, mom's told the whole entire world that her daughter was only gone for 10 minutes. So now we look at it. Okay, so this child is 10 minutes away from the home when she calls law enforcement. Let's say it took law enforcement an hour and a half. Let's give them 2 hours to coordinate efforts and start getting people in the ground to look for and above air on the helicopters with the lights and the body heat, cameras. Now we got 2 hours. So this child is walking, just lollygagging through the woods, just walked off her property, followed a squirrel into the wilderness, and or let's say a cat, followed her cat into the wilderness. How fast could that child be going? It's not like she's sprinting a marathon, in a marathon and running through these woods to get as far away from her home as possible. That's not what happened here. She's, casually walking through the woods. She's got all these helicopters and lights above her, because you can hear that helicopter, I'm sure a half a mile away. That helicopter is covering all this area with their light and everything like that. It's still light outside too. Now, mind you, when they start getting there, 2 hours from 6:30 is only 8:30. Many of you guys have corrected me over and over again that it was still light outside at that time. So now you got helicopters, now you got canines, now you got, a few hundred people out there in the woods looking for you, calling your name. And a child that loves everybody else and runs to everybody else, we see it all the time. She's going to follow people calling her name. She's going to pop herself out. That didn't happen. They had over 1,000 people out there that covered a mass majority of their property. No summer. You look at other cases where children have wandered off. They've been found within 36 to 48 hours or sooner. This didn't happen. By the time we get out there, which is in December 14th, I believe, it's been 6 months. In 6 months, they would have found her out there in the wilderness. They haven't. They never found her. With all the assets they had, all the resources they had, all the bodies they put on the ground from multiple states, multiple jurisdictions, the FBI, the TBI. You're talking about huge organizations, huge law enforcement organizations with their boots on those grounds, using every resource at their disposal. And they still never found the girl. So now we've eliminated that possibility. So it leaves one possibility. Now, who are these people? Let's look at their background. You find violence, alcohol, drugs. You find other children removed from their care. Okay, now we need to look at the circle of people in and around the wells at the time this happened. Who are they? Those are the people we need to speak to. So we go and speak to those people. And they paint the picture that we're seeing. So now who do we speak to? The principals, Don and Candace. And we have. I've spoke to Don many times. Don and I chatted until 1:30 in the morning, right here from this house, on my cell phone, about everything under the sun. So now we've eliminated 4 possibilities. We've eliminated 3 of the 4 possibilities. We've talked to all of these people that are in and around, neighbors, friends, associates, cashiers, business owners, neighbors on the other side of the holler. And it paints a very, very big picture. We've watched Don and Candace and their attitude while they've been on YouTube, in front of people, in front of cameras, knowing that they are being recorded and knowing that they are being aired live, acting a fool. We watched them not set up any search parties. We've never seen them being really emotional. We've watched their behavior be very suspect. We hear of the abuses that happened inside and outside of that home to the children. So, Panda Barry, about the footprint. Candace never even knew anything about this footprint. I don't know who brought this footprint up. If the parents don't know about a footprint being on the property, it came out of Candace's own mouth in an interview. And I can't remember if it was with Benny Keys, if it was with Cam and Allie, or if it was with Ernie. I can't recall. But she specifically said, what footprint? We never heard anything about a footprint. So I'm thinking No, but who did we hear that from, Patricia? We're saying that there's two sets of, but my thing is if it was part of the investigation and it came out of law enforcement's mouth, they would have asked Candace or Don about those footprints. Why didn't they? Who brought the footprints in the mix? You might have your answer with that question alone. Because if it wasn't law enforcement, it doesn't matter. It's a red herring. Okay, can you, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Send me the link where law enforcement talked about these footprints. I don't want to hear other creators talking about it. I want to hear it coming out of law enforcement's mouth. Not other creators saying law enforcement said it. I'd like to see that because right now, this is not the first time this question has been asked of me. And I have looked, like I said, you guys haven't seen me for 3 days on here. I have gone through every single press conference, every single one. And I don't recall anything about footprints, feet print, shoes, nothing. Even that shoe that was supposedly found, one shoe somewhere that somebody said was Summers. Never heard of any law enforcement talking about it. None. So, there are some things in the case that they will not share. But again, if this is one of the things that they will not share in the case, then how is it circulating YouTube? Because they haven't shared it. So I'm very suspect of that. I don't know what to make of it until I hear. Yeah. But if you find it and send that to me, we will have a discussion on it. I will bring it live and we can have a discussion once I see it. But I have not been able to see it now. Is it possible that I missed it? It is. It is. I have gone through so much footage. Absolutely positive. But if there's another element to this case, I'd like to hear it. And if it was a footprint in mud and it hadn't rained in a while and it was dry, it could have been from weeks ago. Weeks prior to this. Because I can tell you when I was out at searching for Paola Miranda Rosa, she had already disappeared, I want to say, for like 2 weeks before we got out there. And they cordoned off this, her family found something that looked like it was the size of her footprint in the marsh ground. Now it's right by the water and everything. We were out there 2 weeks later and we could move the leaves and see that footprint. So, it just because a footprint's there does not mean it's recent. And it does not mean that it has anything to do with the case. So, there are those, we're just brainstorming here. Those are the possibilities. Could it have been fresh? Could it have been from summer? It's a possibility. We always talk about probable and possible and, anything's possible, but is it probable? And it could be. I don't know. I have to read it and touch it with my own eyes. Yeah. And that very well may be the case. But, and EquiSearch does a lot of great things. I'm a true 100% supporter of EquiSearch. I am. But they're not law enforcement. And it's just like, for example, the Scream. We just talked about the Scream with Jody Sue, right? Ronnie Lawson said it has nothing to do with the case. It could very well be that's why they're not bringing this up, because it has nothing to do with this case. Guys, I'm going to play just a clip. I've got to take a bathroom break. Too much coffee, I guess. Sorry, guys. But you're going to have to bear with me. I apologize. But you're going to have to listen to some music just for a second. So please stay here. Do not go anywhere. We're still discussing this case. mean, there's a lot of possibilities, but the question is, does it have anything to do with it? And not only that, but if those footprints were there, don't you think that that would imply that there was somebody abducted her? Because even if she was walking around her house and she's no longer there, somebody would have to take her. So there is no evidence of this theory. Law enforcement has said it and 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 said it, and people want to pick apart what they're saying. So, you know, I don't have all the answers. I really don't. But I can tell you that none of that really makes any sense, especially with law enforcement coming out. Think about it. What would be the motivation for law enforcement coming out and letting the world know on multiple occasions, not one, not two, not three, multiple, many occasions, they have eliminated that possibility. And at this point, we're coming up on a year. Many of you guys know we're about to have the event over at the sheriff's office, the Hawkins County Sheriff, on June 22nd, 2022. June 22nd. Lord have mercy. That's my, anyways. June 15th, 2022, from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Hawkins County Sheriff. That's at 117 Justice Center Drive in Rogersville, Tennessee. We're having an event for her. We're coming up to a year. I would think at this point that would be coming to surface if this was an abduction theory. The abduction theory, in my opinion, has been eliminated. It has been eliminated from law enforcement. You know, they've only talked about two additional possibilities. Those two are you know, the possibility of her wandering off. We just talked about why that can't be possible, because how is she going to navigate that rough terrain without shoes? And you don't realize how rough that terrain is until you go see it with your own eyes. It is brutal. It is brutal. And even MGL, she actually tried, right? Trees are falling all over her. There's only so far you can get up that mountain. That's it. That's it. It's too steep. It's too steep. We put the theory to test. It's too steep. Safest way up that property without needing, you know, gear is the driveway. And as many people said and heard in many of the interviews, Grandis's camper can almost see 360 degrees. There's only a few blind spots on that property. Where was Candace? Where was Grandis? In that trailer where they have that almost 360 degree. You're not getting up that I'm telling you. We were across the street at the cemetery and dogs barking all over the place. So, and I also find it suspect that Jody Sue was the only person that heard a scream, but the people on the other side of the mountain across Beach Creek can hear Donnie and Candace fighting and dropping F-bombs on a daily basis. But they didn't hear anything. They didn't hear a scream. That's another red herring. But we also confirmed that with Jody Sue's own text messages to Andy. Let's see. Good morning, Couch Detective. Let's see. You know, but that could go in line with it's old. And maybe the other side, the other footprint was in a shallow, it was more shallow, and it had been, you know, and maybe that's why it wasn't a relevant footprint, because it was older, because it was missing one of the footprints. You know, maybe the other footprint washed away, or, you know, it could have been old. Like I said, that impression from Rosa Miranda, Paola Miranda Rosa, it was there 2 weeks. You know, her family went and roped it off with, like, they put some stakes around it and put like the orange tape around it. And I think I'm pretty sure I made a point to point it out when I made the video, several months ago, that it looks like law enforcement's obviously, this must be some type of evidence. Well, we found out it wasn't law enforcement's evidence. We found out from the sister that they actually had put it up because they thought it might have been to show that Miranda did actually get out of the water. And it was there 2 weeks later. Like, we moved the leaves and you could see the impression there in the mud. And that was, again, weeks later. So there's a lot when it comes to footprints and impressions and stuff like that. I mean, I get it. If it's there, it's there. But first of all, I've never heard law enforcement indicate about this footprint. Jonathan Lee Riches actually made a post on Twitter and tagged TBI in it, and Leslie Earhart actually responded to him because his question was related to whether or not there was a few people saying that somebody saw that Summer was walking down the road between 4 and 7:30. He posted that as a question on his Twitter. I doubt he expected to have a response from the spokeswoman for TBI, Leslie Earhart, but she did. She responded back to him and said that there is no evidence of Summer being outside, walking down that road during those times at all. And so that eliminated that. So that kind of dovetails into that footprint. So if she was outside of her home, or they thought she walked away, or she was walking down the road, I don't know if Leslie would have answered his question that way. So even if there was a footprint, I don't think it's relevant. Just like we heard over and over again that Jody Sue heard this scream. When we read her text messages, it was a noise that woke her up out of a sleep. So who knows? Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, yeah. And for those that didn't see that, go back and watch it. We've got a lot of videos. And you know what's really cool about this chat and about this channel? And, you guys show me so much love. You really do. I love being here. I love seeing you guys when I can get on here. Here it's been kind of spotty because even though I'm not traveling, for my political stuff right now, and that was what took me away usually between Thursday and Sunday, every other week. I think a few months ago I wasn't live, but right now the reason why I'm not live is because I'm actually doing so much research online that it's one of those things when you're kind of in the zone, you can't be distracted from being in the zone. And so I had to have a choice of going through all this content or going live. I've opted to go through the content. This morning, I don't have time to go through the content because once I'm in the zone, I am in the zone. And I've got to leave. I've got to go to my cousin's reception. So I thought, well, today I'm not going to get a whole lot accomplished. So I might as well go live and talk about the stuff that we did watch. There was another podcast I saw, which I had never seen before. And it was quite interesting. So here is another perspective. So, why can't we find Summer? It's because if you go and watch, and JLR is putting out, he's really dug into this. Like I said, he's inspiring me to do the same. He's somebody I highly respect. I've worked next to him. I know his personality. I know his, I know he's a good person. I know a lot of people try to crucify people on YouTube and try to do despicable things. You guys watch it play out for me on a daily basis, primarily by one or two creators that haven't gained following in a very long time. They've been doing this for years, and they still haven't even, quite frankly, crossed over the million view mark, right? They haven't even crossed over the million view mark after 5 years, but they think their content is great. It's not. It's bullying. It's harassment. We're not even going to go there. But what they did to JLR when he came out was despicable. It was despicable. He is a good guy. He's got a good heart, and I can tell you that. I know. I've worked next to him. I've worked next to him politically. I've worked next to him in this true crime stuff. Great guy. Great guy. There's not anything on YouTube that can change my mind because I personally know this man. And he's been doing some really good digging into what he feels happened. He's really been looking at all avenues. He's been critical of every single word that comes out of people's mouths. And he's been picking up on a lot of stuff. He's been picking up on, my theory is I don't think she ever got out of the van when she got home. His theory is he doesn't believe she ever made it home. And so we started looking back, and here it comes. He pointed out to us, which is what made me say, maybe I need to start looking in a little harder as well. Because he pointed out reportedly. So none of the stuff law enforcement is telling us was fact. She was reportedly home. She reportedly went missing at this time. That means somebody told them this. But what if the person that was telling the FBI and TBI this was lying to them? Maybe instead of that search being around their home, it should have been much further away. We go back and start looking. Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people do. Good morning, Benny. I hope you're doing well, dear. Did you see I was there in your drone flying? I watched you fly your drone. I watched the whole car wreck. You didn't even say hi, but I know you weren't paying attention to the phone. I hope you're learning some stuff this morning. We can all learn a few things. But it was reportedly. So then we start looking at whether or not their information is accurate. Jonathan believes she never made it home. I believe she made it home and never got out of the car. And that would explain why Candace drove like a bat out of hell down the driveway. Just my theory. There it is. All right, Patricia, take care. Yeah. And I also looked into thinking, I thought about how could that have happened, right? How could children be manipulated? So you're talking about 3 boys. Now, this is another thing that I found quite odd. So, we watched that whole thing because I did the inconsistent statements that Candace made. Our primary focus was the Chris McDonough interviews at her home as well as at the waterhole. And she was very specific. Now, remember, she was supposedly the only person home with the boys at the time. Don supposedly wasn't there, which I have some questions about that too. And so I was looking at how could the boys have been manipulated? What if instead of Summer going in the house, what if she told the boys, hey, boys, keep an eye on your sister. She's downstairs playing with her toys. You want to know how things can be. They're watching their TV. They're doing this. What did she say? They were watching TV and sleeping. They were kind of doing both, right? That's what she says. But when Don met with the human lie detector guys, right? I can't remember their names. They have this podcast. It's very successful. He's with Chase Hughes. Many of you guys know I'm reading Chase's book. I'm taking one of the Chase's programs, courtesy of Patricia. And Chase Hughes is on there. Another guy. I can't remember their names. I'll think of them, but I'm looking at their faces, but I can't think of their names. Anyways, they met with Don in a hotel room. A hotel, not a hotel room. They had an area, probably a conference room in a hotel. There we go. And they're asking him about everything. And Don is very specific and starts talking about how his boys were playing video games, how their eyes were glued to that TV and they were playing video games. But when you listen to the McDonough interview, Candace clearly states they're watching TV and half asleep and sleeping. And I kept saying, how can the boys sleep there? I mean, they're at a table. There's trash everywhere. It's not like there's a bed. There's no place to lay down. So how are they watching TV? Usually when you see a kid watching TV and sleeping, you see them on a couch with their legs propped up, sleeping. They're at a table because there's so much shit in that whole house. There's no place to sit. So they're at the table. I just can't quite wrap my head around how they can be at the table watching TV and sleeping. I don't know how that works, but for all intents and purposes, let's say that they were. Why is Don saying that they were wide awake and roughhousing on a computer game? So those are inconsistent statements. It can't be both, because they can't be half asleep and wide awake, battling. Just stuff doesn't make sense. Is Benny still in here? Aw. Aw. Oh, poor little girl. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you don't like me. So sorry you don't like me. By the way, Savage, I'm the one that found out who you were and where you lived. That's why the whole world knows. Thank you, Bullhorn Betty. The behavior panel. Thank you, Miss Robin. No, they specifically said they were upstairs sitting at the table, because that goes in line with their script. That goes in line with their script. So Amanda, I mean, I don't, 1 week of watching your network buddies fighting amongst themselves, time, the rival. Well, I find it funny, because aren't you and your clique kind of fighting? Amanda, tell your husband Joe I said hi. Well, if it's not, they'll have a great clip, won't they? Probably not the real Savage. Probably general awareness. And I gotta say, thank you, general awareness, for doing the right thing. I gave him all the information to show I did not do anything wrong. And so finally he was convinced I didn't do anything wrong and decided to lay the sword down. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for checking. So people try to say I do these horrible, horrible things, right? I do these horrible, horrible things when I do stuff that is even remotely considered possibly horrible. I don't hide. I say I do it, right? I have no reason to lie. I own my actions. Other people don't own their actions. They try to give themselves an excuse. And watch. We're going to watch one creator. Just watch. I guarantee it. There's going to be one creator that is one of the biggest bullies here on YouTube. She's going to be crying victim. She's going to be crying victim. Watch. I guarantee it. I give it less than 6 months. Less than 6 months. And they're going to be crying victim. I can't believe. Watch. I also want to say thank you to House of Williams and thank you, Dolly Vision, for exposing, and Ernie Shell for that matter, exposing the bullying that's going on here. I'm not really, I've heard, Dolly told me about the House of Williams. So I've watched the House of Williams a few times. She is hilarious. I have to tell you, she is absolutely hilarious. She cracks me up. She does. But yesterday, one of the mods in here, a couple of the mods in here told me that, there was a skit going on with House of Williams. And so I went over there and I just wanted to say, I even put in there, thank you, Love Bug. Many of you guys know, if you guys communicate with me, I call my friends Love Bugs. And so House of Williams, thank you. I appreciate you standing up against the bullying. I mean, people are starting to realize that this has gone. This is nothing more than harassment and cyberbullying at its finest on this one particular channel. She's going out of her way to try to create more channels with other, collaborate with people to do the same thing as her, because she doesn't want to be the only one or appear to be the only one. So she's actually manipulating people so more people will come out, so she can't be held 100% responsible. But with that statement, she's going to be held 100% responsible. I guarantee it. And when the tree does start shaking, and believe me, tenacity does great things. And I'm a tenacious person and an ambitious person at that. And so just keep watching. You're going to hear this person go from bully to crybaby to victim. And when that happens, you guys realize that this stuff has no place on YouTube. And it will happen. It's just a matter of time. So just stay tuned for that. But we do not advocate for bullying. We do not advocate for harassment. What our team does, even though people want to say it's harassment has a legal definition to it. What we do is always and has always been above board and 100% lawful. We do not break the law. But cyberbullying, there are laws, criminal penalties, and civil penalties associated with cyberbullying in all 50 states in the continental United States. Period. Pretty she is. She is the ugliest person I have ever met in my life. Yeah. Me too. Me too, babe. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what's crazy is, I'm looking back, and there was a whole group of people already accusing them back at the end of June going into July, the parents. People, I mean, especially the people that knew them, that really knew them, they don't believe any of their stories. They believe they are 100% responsible. That is a bold statement. Think about it. If something happened to one of my grandchildren, do you think people would be blaming me for it? Of course not. Because when they were here, they had a clean home, they had fresh meals, they played, they weren't injured, they weren't abused. People that came over here and watched the interactions here would never accuse anybody in this household of injuring a child. But everybody over the court, everybody that was in and around the Wells at the time Summer disappeared, are no longer friends with them. That in and of itself should tell the world a lot. And there are still people that don't know these people advocating for them as if they were their best friends and know them inside and out. I am sorry. We have racks of papers on these parents talking about their violence, but you hear this facade on YouTube. Candace coming out acting all innocent. You talk to some of the people, their neighbors won't walk down that street without having a gun on their side because of the wells. Does that sound like they're innocent? Does that sound like they're sweet and kind people? People fear them. Fear them. They are not these innocent people. Oh, well, if those YouTubers want to be mean to me, give me a break. Cut out the act. Cut out the act. Yeah, Jodi Arias. Jodi Arias is the first thing that just popped in my head and came right out my mouth. I don't know where her name came from. Oh, yeah. They accused me of doing that. If I see a troll comment on my page, I'm deleting it. But I don't block. I time you out if you're acting like a fool. There are a few like that blank screen that wants to come in here and throw the channel for a loop, that person there. But we're putting on and this is also another thing to the people out there. We're putting on this channel. You cannot comment unless you've been a member. That's the free, not the join me, the member, or not a member, subscriber rather, not a member, a subscriber. If you've been a subscriber for 5 hours, you got to be a subscriber for 5 hours or more. So if you have not yet subscribed to this channel and you want to start, being in here and communicating with us, you may want to consider hitting the subscribe button so you can participate in comments during our live sessions. This will help you do that. The reason why I do this, that means one person has a time to come in here and be nasty one time, because my lives generally are over in 2 hours. A little like we're all going to be over 2 hours today before I get off here, but I haven't talked to you guys in so long. So we had a lot of catching up to do. How did you guys like this segment? Was this segment pretty good? Did you guys like that video? I shouldn't say like in the sense, it was a lot of work in it. But put a 1 in if you guys like this live this morning. Thank you. So I'm going to try, I am trying some new things. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I am trying new things. I know I don't want you guys losing support of this channel or anything like that. I am working very hard, but going through all the stuff that I have to go through in order, and not only that, but even that video where I started realizing what they were really saying. That video, I had to go through it several times. And not just go through it several times. Then I had to clip it. Then I had to get the clips out of it that coincided with what the message I was driving when I was trying to explain it. That all does take time. These 5-minute videos don't take 5-minute videos, 5 minutes to put together. I can guarantee that. It's not that easy. I wish it was. Oh, thank you, Team Replay. Well, I love you, Panda Berry. And you made had some great questions. It's just that I don't know anything about the footprints, and I wish I did. Could that change things? Could it not? Maybe that's what we need to be asking, if there's any validity to those footprints, especially when a third party is the one that found it. While EquiSearch, do not get me wrong, EquiSearch is definitely a reliable organization. I've donated to them. I know many people have donated to them. EquiSearch is a great organization. I know that they helped out in Gabby Petito. I know they've helped out in Summer Wells. But EquiSearch is a great program. I adore them. It's not that. It's just that they're still a third party, and I don't know how much relevance that had, or if the footprint was actually related to Summer. You got to remember, there's children all over that area. So she had 3 brothers, one that was just a few years older than her. Now, you would think that a boy has, bigger feet, but we don't know the growth spurts. You got to think about that as well, because a boy that's older could be smaller than a girl that's younger until they hit that growth spurt, and then they just shoot up like a little. Most of you guys have boys. I don't have boys in my family other than a few cousins. All my grandchildren are girls. My ex-husband had girls, so I'm a girl. So you get what I'm saying here? I have more experience in little girls than I do with boys. I just don't know about that. But I do remember when I was younger that there were older boys. I'm a small girl. I mean, I'm 5 foot. I'm under 5'1". I think I'm 5'3". So we'll just say 5'1". I'm 5'1". I'm short. And so when I was younger, there was a kid that was a little older than me that was smaller than me at that time. That guy is almost 6 feet tall this day. Well, I'm only 5'1". Oh, thank you, Vicky. Oh, we love you too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, we still have to find, even if we do find that footprint to be there, we need to find out whether it's relevant to the case, whether it truly is Summer Wells, whether it's one of her brothers, or whether it's one of the other children that are in and around the area. There are kids in and around the area. We heard on Dolly Vision, he was speaking to one of Don Wells' neighbors that he's a single grandfather taking care of his grandchildren, his 3 grandsons. So it makes you just wonder, there obviously are children around there. Could this be another child's footprint? And again, it still comes down to, why was there only one? That does not make sense. Because even if you're walking, you have 2. Even if you're walking by force, you still have 2. So one, it kind of makes me feel that it was an older print. And one of the prints, went away because this print may have been deeper. There may have been more mud there where you sunk a little further. So the impression was a little further down. There's a lot of things that can go in with that footprint. The footprint, to me, if law enforcement isn't considering that footprint being significant, just like they're not considering this so-called animalistic scream being significant, because as we know now, it was just a noise that awoke Jody Sue out of a dead sleep. She didn't know what the sound was. Over the time, she this noise metamorphosed into an animalistic scream. Yeah, softer dirt. Great point, Rhonda Moon. So, was there a footprint? There could be possibly a footprint there. Is it significant in the case? Even if it was significant in the case, would we know about it? Would law enforcement, outside of EquiSearch bringing up the fact that there was a footprint there, would law enforcement say, hey, we did find a footprint? We don't know. We don't know what the motivation would be to keep that out of, away from the public. And we wouldn't know what the motivation would be to bring that public. So we just, at the end of the day, we honestly just don't know enough about the footprint. But it is something that, obviously if it's brought up here, maybe we should look into it and make heads or tails of it. So it's definitely another aspect of this case that can be dived into. Again, we have 4 possibilities here. In my mind, we've eliminated 3. Does that mean all 3 have been fully eliminated by law enforcement? No, it doesn't. But we do know 2 have been fully eliminated from law enforcement, leaving 2 options. So if we wanted to look at it through the lens of law enforcement, they're saying no possibility of an abduction, and I believe that. There's no possibility of an abduction. At this point, they would have evidence of that. Scent, footprints. You got to remember, all that stuff up there, there's not one footprint of somebody that didn't belong on that property that they could find. Not one. With the mud, creek. Not one boot print, not one tennis shoe print that doesn't belong to that family. Not one. In dirt, in mud. Not one. I mean, we hear over and over again Candace talk about there is a creek that runs around the bottom of their hill. It's almost like a moat. Seen it with my own eyes. Is it that deep? No, it's not. But it's definitely deep enough that you'd leave a footprint in the mud as you're pulling yourself out. It's definitely deep enough that your feet would be wet to leave a print on the ground. Oh, that brings me to the other thing. Remember, the boys were around the creek looking for Summer. Maybe that footprint really was one of the boys. I'd like to know the location. If it was around where the boys were looking, I guarantee it's probably one of the boys' feet. No tire tracks? There's no place to park. There's no place to park. There's no pull over. I mean, if you have a flat tire on Beach Creek or Ben Hill Road, you're changing that flat tire slap dead in the middle of the street. If Benny Keys is in here, he can explain the same thing. There is no place to park. You cannot just pull over to the road, on the side of the road, and park. Cars would have to go around you. Yeah, exactly. Well, we knew she was because we have the text messages that she was talking to her ex, Andrew Bernard, the father of her kids, I believe. Who knows these days? Sorry. But at the end of the day, do I believe that Jody Sue had anything to do with the disappearance of this child? Of course not. Do I believe her son had it? No, I do not. Do I believe her ex had anything to do with it? No, I do not. Is it possible? Anything's possible. Is it probable? Probably not. I don't, but I did get the clip of where he was talking about it. Apparently it was a lady. It wasn't in that picture. Don is in a white truck. Yeah, Don has several white trucks. Let's see. Does anybody know about the regular day Summer went missing? There's a picture of it floating around. Don took the picture. Yes. And he actually, and how I found that out. Oh, and I got some other tidbit of information as well. So yes, that did happen. Law enforcement was actually on the grounds at the time because Don actually looked at law enforcement and said, "Can I take a picture of that?" And they said, "Go ahead." So he did take a picture of the red truck. It was a lady that popped her head out of the truck. So it was a lady in possession of that red truck, not a guy, a lady. Was it any significance? No, it wasn't any significance. And here's why, because we've been hearing about this red truck. Now, mind you guys, there's been many red trucks. They sell red trucks. Okay. Red trucks are mass produced and red trucks are everywhere. Right. So they talk about this red truck that was there at their house between the 14th or 15th. The truck that he saw that potentially wrecked or got stuck in the ditch or whatever had happened with it doesn't appear to be the same red truck that they were looking for. It appears that it may have just been an accident, probably somebody rubbernecking, trying to see what was going on, and ends up drifting into the ditch, I would presume. I don't know for a fact. But yeah, Don did take it. I did hear him on the that one room that Robin put up. I don't know why. I can't remember the damn name. Behavior room or behavior panel or whatever it is. That he talked to the two guys about that red truck that day. Do I think it has any relevance to the red truck that somebody had saw? No, I do not. Do I believe that truck was seen? Yes, I believe that red truck with the buckets, the white buckets hanging off the long ladder bar. You know who I think that truck belongs to? Somebody that works for Don's boss. Because the white buckets that they're describing hanging off the back of the truck, guess what? sound pretty close to being drywall buckets of mud. And I got to go through my footage, but I'm wondering if that's the truck that was sitting in front of one of the trucks that was sitting in front of Don Wells' work that day. And it makes you wonder, did Don Wells borrow a vehicle from one of his coworkers? There's a lot of speculation that can go into that. Does it mean it's true? No. How about if that red truck was just driving by and somebody needed to get out and pee and lived in a different state and just passing through? It really doesn't sound like that red truck has any significance. It really doesn't. A lot of people hold up on these little thoughts because it's something that's in the case. Does it have relevance? Does it not? We don't know. So when you don't have the answers and you don't close that worry box, people make a mountain out of a molehill. It may be as insignificant as this supposed animalistic type of scream that Jody Sue supposedly heard. So it says the footprints were not even on the Wells property. So if the footprint's not even on the Wells property, it could be a number of things. There's a reason why law enforcement does not think it's very significant if that's the case. Again, I need to learn more about this footprint, but I know when I was, because I've been reviewing all this stuff, that Candace actually addressed this footprint and said, footprint, what are you talking about? I didn't hear anything about it. So it makes me wonder if she did not hear anything about it, being the mom, and this is the investigation of her daughter, I would think that law enforcement would say, we found a footprint here. Has your daughter ever been known to go in this location? Is there any reason why she'd be here? Things of that nature. So it still seems like she would have still been informed about this footprint. And that's not the case. She had no clue about it. So that was, very telling for me. And especially if EquiSearch found it, why they wouldn't have said, hey, we found this. Do you know why it would be here? Or, does it have any significance? Does this area have any significance for you? Anything like that. And she would have still, again, been aware of it. And when somebody asked her about it, she looked, what are you talking about? Like genuinely confused. So I just don't, I'll look into it, but I just don't think it has a very significant role in this case. Just like I don't think, I honestly believe that whoever saw that red truck actually saw that red truck on the 14th. Do I believe anything, some rumors that, this may have happened on the 14th as opposed to the 15th? No, I don't. Even Dudley had brought that up because of some weird behavior Don Wells was exhibiting the day that he fired him. And he always wondered as well, was this planned? Did something happen on the 14th? But I think we have enough people that actually saw Summer on the 15th that would make that a little impossible to entertain. So the 15th appears to be the day. Now we're coming back to, at what time did Summer supposedly go missing? And, TBI has on their website the afternoon that she went missing in the afternoon of June 2nd, reportedly went missing in the afternoon of June 2nd, June 15th, June 2nd, my word, June 15th, 2022. But she didn't report her missing by phone until around 6:30 at night, which kind of aligns. If you guys know, Ziggy had a retired sheriff on her panel. The retired sheriff went out of her way to prove that she was truly a retired sheriff from the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department. And then they're talking about this 4-hour window. Why did it take her 4 hours to report her daughter missing? And then, again, this is stuff we've seen and looked at over and over and over again. And it's like, now all this stuff just starts having like this, just starting to fly off the page at you. You're starting to see these things in bigger letters for some reason. Like you weren't paying attention to the way these things were stated then. But when you start going and dissecting everything, like what I'm doing right now, It's like things are coming alive. And what do I mean by that? Like, how many times have I been on the TBI newsroom? Multiple times. How many times have I looked at their chronological order on that thing? Multiple times. Why did I not ever see or make the correlation that she's been missing since the afternoon, but wasn't reported missing until evening? And then people are trying to willfully and maliciously tell that this officer is not either not herself or lying. What motivation would a retired, a decorated, and honorably retired sheriff, deputy, detective, or whatever she may be, what would the motivation be for her to come out and lie? But, the question is, did Ronnie Lawson say, maybe, sarcastically, maybe you should ask those damn YouTubers why it took her 4 hours to call her daughter in missing? Maybe he said that under his breath. Maybe he wasn't actually meaning for her to come out and ask the world that question. Right? Maybe. Maybe. Not sure. Who knows? Maybe she retired and had nothing better to do and said, hey, let me shake this tree. Who knows? So I'm wondering, now many of you guys know my stance on reward money and everything like that. If I had the reward money, Jonathan and I talked about it. It was kind of funny because I listened to him and he's like, I would give it to a charitable organization. That's never what we had ever discussed in the past, is always giving it to the family. But I think he's scared that if we ever did come up, especially with this case, get the reward money, giving it to the boys is like giving it to Don and Candace. Maybe that's why he has opted. But when we were doing Gabby Petito, and we were trying to find Brian Laundrie, that was an agreement we made. If we ever did stumble across him or found him, we made that agreement up front that we would donate that money back to Gabby Petito's family. We didn't feel right taking it. If I'm ever involved in a case where there's reward money provided to whoever comes, brings information, I would never keep the money. I make my money here on YouTube. I make my money other ways off of YouTube. And I would never want to profit in that manner. If I could not find a family member that's deserving of the reward money, it would be donated to a charitable organization. But we did find out through some work that, it appears that on the 1-year milestone, the large reward pot of money for information leading to the whereabouts of Summer Wells appears to be expiring. And based upon the Churchill Rescue Squad, they will be donating it to a charitable organization for children. So it was supposed to actually expire 6 months into this investigation at the 6-month marker. And Don Wells went on media and on social media and, met with reporters and said, don't give up on my daughter. We think it needs to be longer. And they extended it another 6 months. So my question is, are they planning on sticking, doing this reward for another 6 months, or are they going to shut it down and send that money over to the charitable organization in which they disclosed early on that they were going to donate that pot of money to? I really don't know. I haven't heard. I'm curious to find out. We are coming very close. And it is just, I'm curious. I honestly believe at this point it needs to be donated to the charitable organization. I really do. When is the Amber Alert going to go away? Is it going to go away? Many have asked if it's going to go away on, on the anniversary as well. I don't like calling it the milestone as well. I don't know. I'm curious about that. I looked at Amber Alerts in the past to find out how many are active, what was the longest active Amber Alert There was an active Amber Alert, I think, one I found that was over 28 years, and I think there's one even larger than that. I think there's one even larger than that that's went on longer than that. But there's one that lasted 28 years. 28 years, an Amber Alert lasts. I keep wondering, is this what's going to happen here? But see, back then, there was not the kind of technology we have now, you know? And for me, obviously, I'm not in the role of the prosecutor in this case. But for me, I think that there's enough evidence in this case, not with Summer Wells, but the other portion of it, the child abuse, child neglect, child endangerment, those types of charges. I think there's enough meat on the bone there that it can be successfully prosecuted. And when you look at the penal codes, you look at all this other stuff, and you weigh the evidence and the information we got. Now I do realize that law enforcement has been primarily focusing on Summer's disappearance and finding the whereabouts of Summer. But at some point, in my opinion, they've got to start refocusing their efforts on the boys and the crimes against the children while in that house. And I think that's where they're going to be successful with right now until they get more evidence against whomever is responsible for the disappearance of Summer Wells. Clearly, they believe that she was gone a lot sooner. They still haven't publicly came out, and law enforcement still hasn't publicly came out and said, hey, this is what we believe. This is, we don't believe she's here with us anymore. This moved over to a homicide investigation, at such and such date. It was no longer a missing person. And we're just not getting that from them. But I can guarantee that has already happened, and that happened, weeks into the investigation as opposed to recently. So we saw that change about the 9th day into the investigation with the way they were talking, their body language, what they were saying, the corrections that they were trying to make on the fly, the past tense that was being used. They learned early on that and I think it was around day 9 or day 10 that they realized that that the parents were not being forthcoming, that what they said happened that day and what actually happened that day contradicted itself. The timeline from the time that they got home to the time she reported Summer missing does not coincide with the 4-hour window. There's a gap. There's a huge gap in time there that's not accounted for based upon Candace's own admissions. So those are big portions that are being looked at. You heard Dawn come out multiple times and said, oh, well, we had to go back and really look at this because law enforcement has told us, that was in that one interview, law enforcement has told us that there was something wrong with our timeline. It's not matching up. So we need to go back and look at it. And so that was clue number 1, right? That law enforcement was not believing their story. Because it's very rare. I mean, I shouldn't say very rare. Sometimes when things are moving and you're going through some shock and stuff like that, you could miss 1 or 2 things and you're like, oh, that's right, we did this. But their timeline's not changed like that, right? From the time that they left the house, went and got Hunter, went to the water hole, went to this place, picked up grandma, did this, did that. It was very synchronized. And outside of what Candace said the order was and what Hunter says the order was is a little off. They don't line up. And then when you throw Grandis into the mix, her stuff doesn't line up. These are 3 people that had the same exact day and did the same exact thing. And no matter how you look at it, there's got to be some type of timeline that's consistent. And there's not. And then when they get home, that's where it gets even more inconsistent. It's all about the fine details that make your day. Can I remember what I did 2 weeks ago? No. Can I remember what happened the day my puppies were born 20 years ago? Yeah. I can remember exactly what I fed my dog. My dog's in my closet. My mom's at my house. And I go to McDonald's because she can't move. I feel so bad. I didn't want to sit there and feed her. I went up to McDonald's and got her Egg McMuffins. Yes, I did. I sat down in my closet and fed my dog like 3 or 4 Egg McMuffins while she's giving birth to these puppies. Is it healthy? I don't know. But I know she was very grateful. While I can't remember everything I did yesterday, I could be pretty damn close. But on milestone events, when something happens in your life, such as you missing your daughter or your daughter disappearing, you play that day over and over and over and over again in your head. There is not one thing out of place. You remember everything that happened. You don't get inconsistent statements. It's one of the biggest things that has ever happened to you in your life. And you can't remember details, important details. My dog having her first litter of pups was one of the most special things I can ever think of. I can remember picking up the phone, just like yesterday. I can remember picking up the phone, calling my mom, and my mom coming over to help me with all these puppies. Sitting there, seeing my little baby girl, Layla, in that thing. She's just panting, and she looks miserable. And, I just didn't want to try to feed her, one morsel of dog food. So I went to the freaking McDonald's around the corner and got her a crap load of junk food. And sat there and petted her and fed her. So I keep seeing somebody saying Aaron, but I don't see anything from Aaron. Oh, ZZT, you decided to join us. You're a little late this morning. I don't know why Don was concerned about he was concerned about the reward money 6 months after her. So I mean, he was still playing the part. I can't determine. This is where I'm getting hung up on Don. This is where I'm getting hung up on Don. I got to be honest with you. This is what's really been irritating me and eating at me for a while. So when we first started this process of going down this road of trying to figure out what was going on in the Summer Wells case, we were under the impression Don was home. Now, this is before we had our first interview. This is before we, got one stick of, information, background checks, anything. We didn't do anything. We were just looking at the case from, 1,000 miles away. Just looking at it. And so we were always under the impression that he was at work. During this process, I have called into question what time he got home. Because during this entire process, we found out that he gets home. He gets up very early. He's up at, before the sun rises. He's out the door. He's at his job by sunrise. And he works there all day long. Sometimes he leaves for a few minutes to go to the store to get a little bite to eat or get a drink. Dudley said he's never seen him eat or drink anything, but that could equate for him eating or drinking at the store on the go. But that's it. He's left here or there for a few minutes. That's it. He's back at the job. He leaves the job between 3 and 3:30 daily. And he's home by 4:30. This particular day, the boys were not with Candace. Why? Why would she leave the house and leave all of her young sons at home by themselves? There was only a 12-year-old watching them. And you would think that boys would want to go fishing. I mean, that's what they told Allie that they were going to do, is to go fishing, even though there was not one fishing pole in that truck. But here's what stumps me. Hunter heard that the boys were with their father. Why would he say that? He had no reason. What would be the motivation for him saying that the boys were with their father that day? None. Unless he heard it. Unless he heard it out of his mouth, or out of her mouth, or out of their mouths. I don't know if he could hear him on the phone or not. But he did say that Candace told him that the boys were at work with him. Okay. So if the boys were at work with their father, that would be a good explanation as to why they weren't with their mother. Right? Well, the boys were home when she got home, supposedly, according to her statement. So there could be an inference made that Dawn had to have come home to drop those boys off. She didn't get home until 2:30. Maybe because all four of them were at work working and doing drywall, maybe he was able to get done sooner with what he needed to get done with that day, and was able to come home an hour earlier than he would normally would. Possibility. But the boys were home. Hunter further states that he heard a conversation between her and Dawn talking about somebody messing with the kids on the mountain, the boys. How would Dawn know about that unless he wasn't there? Then you have him constantly making the mistake on phone interviews with me personally, talking about the last time we saw her. Last time we. He kept screwing up and saying we. And before I started realizing that maybe he might have been home, I started noticing that he kept making mistakes about the we. Everybody kept saying, oh, he just misspoke. He just misspoke. How many times can you possibly speak about that day? Right? How many times can you possibly misspeak about that day? And so now you've got Don Wells. Now, why is he acting like he's just pulling up at the house at 6:30 at night when he never comes home that late? That was out of the ordinary for him on the day that his daughter disappears. What do you think about that? We all heard it. Not according to the TBI. Here's TBI's statement. Hold on, let me pull it up. Give me just a second. I'll tell you. I'll show you. You're saying early afternoon. That's not what's on TBI's page. That's not what's on TBI's page at all. Give me just a second. I will find it. Actually, let me just go to the website. TBI Newsroom. Summer Wells. Yeah. Okay, let me just show you. So this is on tbinewsroom.com. See that up there? This is the TBI right there. See? This is what is said on their website. It doesn't say early afternoon. When was Summer last seen? Her mother reports her last seeing on the afternoon of June 15th at her home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we will not provide any information regarding the timeline. That was one of their, I get that they have stuff they want to save for the integrity, but here's the issue I have. We have a right to look into stuff. We have First Amendment rights. We have press rights. We have all these types of rights. And whether people like it or not, they approve or disapprove, it doesn't matter. We have those rights. If law enforcement would give people a little more information, guess what? We wouldn't have to go out there and find it out for ourselves, you know? So, and we will, there's people a lot more creative than me with a lot more, I talk. I rarely do any web sleuthing. Occasionally I'll stick my head in, and as long as it's easy stuff, I can get it done. But you start getting complicated, like some people I know, some of my friends, they are good at what they do. I'm just not that crafty. I like research. I like reading. I like watching. I like putting puzzles together. I don't have time, for a whole lot in my very busy day. But, when you leave people to their own devices and they are truly curious, they are going to be curious. And no matter how much law enforcement tells people, please go talk to people about this, guess what? People just can't help themselves but to talk to people about this. So, the old saying is, if you're telling the truth, you never have to remember your story. Amen. Amen. That is exactly right. And it makes you wonder why there's so many discrepancies in their story. I mean, I've got this video of Candace, the discrepancy in Candace's story with the same person on the same day. Like, how can you screw up your story so much with the same person on the same day? She couldn't keep the script right in her head. And at one point, she actually stopped Chris McDonough and started counting. Like, this is how our day went, because she had been practicing it, and she practiced it, and she's getting confused. So she has to stop Chris, say, no, this is how it went. We went here, we went here, we went here, because she remembered what all she went on her hands. I don't have to do that. Yeah, the other thing that I find a little peculiar is the erased phones. How can you erase the phone content? How does TBI and Hawkins County erase the phone content from 3:30 to 6:30? It sounds to me like the plan was hatched and it started being executed from 3:30. And from 3:30 to 6:30 is when Dawn was gone. So it makes me wonder how much communication was going back and forth between them during that time. These things are suspicious. They're out of the ordinary. And people need to start looking at that. Well, I can honestly tell you, if I want to lie, I can lie. I choose not to. I think everybody, and if some people say that they don't, and some people don't. But I'm telling you, if I wanted to slather up a lie, I could slather up a lie. I choose not to. Talk to me 20 years ago, I'd have lied through my teeth about every single thing about my life. And I could do it with a straight face. Ask my mama. Mom, if you're in here, don't act like you know me. But I could. I also wanted to let everybody know, with the candlelight vigil, many of you guys know, share. I always say it's the voices behind the wall, but I know there's something else that goes in front of the voices behind the wall. Listen to the voices behind the wall. There it is. Miss Cher donated the purple glow sticks. Dolly Vision bought the lanterns and the purple memorial balloons. So we're going to have white lanterns and purple balloons. Both the lanterns and the balloons are biodegradable. So nobody has to feel bad about putting the balloons or the lanterns in the air. I made sure they're 100% biodegradable. They are not hazardous to our environment. So I believe everybody should be happy with those. And we got candles. We got candles with the little rings, so they don't leave wax all over you. I hope many people come out to honor Summer Wells. I'm still trying to put the program together. I'm still trying to put the itinerary together for what's all going to take place. But one thing is we need to understand, I know I'm critical and I do content related to law enforcement, but I truly do believe that Hawkins County Sheriff, TBI, and the FBI have done everything that they can imaginably do. They've hurt themselves. I mean, we heard Don talking about them limping. We heard, T. Coop, the captain of the Churchill Rescue Squad, talk about his men just being beat and whooped, and they were exhausted. And the terrain that they had to go through was horrific. And they did this for baby Summer. Many of those guys out there had children her age. They fought tooth and nail to try to find her. And I want to make sure that they are equally honored on the day that we do the candlelight vigil for Summer Wells. They put in a lot of man hours. I know, everybody knows I back the blue here. I am very critical, in commentary and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, they do the best they can. They give it their all. They give it 110%. And that we cannot not give credit for. We can't. Again, many of these people have families. They put themselves in the shoes of the parents to give them motivation to keep looking. Some of these people had to dig deep to keep going. I mean, I can't even imagine. I know how exhausted I felt after looking for Paula Miranda Rosa. I remember that feeling, the blisters on my feet, my ankles aching me, every bone and joint in my body hurting. And I wasn't even in a mountainous terrain. This was just walking over bushes and in and under palm trees and palm fronds and, but it was flat. And I would never, ever not want to give credit where credit is due. And those men and women that were out there looking for Summer Wells and have continued to look for Summer Wells, we just want to say thank you to them too. I know it's a thankless job. I know people like me make it difficult. We all have our roles in life, and at the end of the day, I love them, and I wouldn't want anybody other than them looking for me if I ever went missing. So we want to make sure that we honor not only Summer Wells and her sacrifice, we also want to honor law enforcement this day and just let them know that not only do we back them, that we love them, we thank them, and we know the tremendous effort they have put into this case. And so with that, folks, I just want to tell each and every one of you, God bless you. I think you guys are amazing people. I think you guys are beautiful people. We had an amazing time this morning. And it is time for me to start getting ready soon. I've got to be ready. I still got to, I don't even know if I'm giving my cousin a gift or a present. I don't know. He's one of those off the grid van life people himself. He's he's an engineer, but he ended up, he was tired of the suit life and decided to get himself a camper and suit that camper up with like a gajillion solar panels. And he just loves the adventurous life, and God bless him. And he met another woman that just loves to have that kind of lifestyle too. Very simple, very zen, a very simplistic lifestyle. He goes from making $150,000 a year to wanting this simplistic lifestyle. He earned it. He deserves it. Very happy. I'm sure I'm going to love his new wife, and just very happy for him, and just want to tell him congratulations publicly. And for the rest of you guys, I love you. Go make it a great Saturday. And don't forget to be fearless, folks. Love you and God bless.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.